electronic warfare aircraft, if I understand correctly. So what did happen is a ship tried to run the blockade yesterday. And when it did, the U.S. Navy intercepted it. This was a ship going into the Strait of Hormuz, not coming out of it. It's actually never even made it to the Strait of Hormuz. But the United States, it went through the blockade line. The U.S., it was called the Tuska, Touska is the name of the ship. It was a cargo carrier, and the United States warned it, told it to turn around. It didn't. It kept going. We followed it and gave it warnings for, get this, 6 hours. We warned them and warned them and warned them again and chased them, and we have this video showing that we actually got fairly close to that ship.
Vacate your engine room. Vacate your engine room. We're prepared to subject you to disabling fire.
So then we actually, since they wouldn't stop, we told them to get everybody out of their engine room because we're going to put some holes in it. And then we put some holes in it. We gave them flares, we gave them horns, and then we gave them 45 millimeter shells through their... Now, look how far away that ship is at that point. We are striking very precise areas of that ship from that far away, with both ships moving, the winds, the waves, all of that, and intentionally not harming the crew that was on that ship. Now here's what's really interesting about the Tuska. That ship was coming from China, and it was a sanctioned ship that we already knew about, and we know that it has been involved in transporting the chemical precursors that Iran needs to make more fuel for their missiles. So we haven't heard what's actually on that ship, and so we did take it over. Once we disabled it by firing into its engine room, then we sent Marines over after dark from the 31st Marine Expeditionary Unit to board the vessel and take control of it. So here's the video of that happening. Turn that down a little bit. So this is a Black Hawk, or a Seahawk helicopter. It comes over the ship. Now they're fast roping down onto the ship. They apparently let somebody wear a video camera doing that. About a 40-foot fast rope there, and they are taking control of the ship. So there you go. We're looking at that now. If you don't understand fast roping, it differs from rappelling, because when you're rappelling, you have a 11 millimeter rope, small rope like this, and you have a harness on, and you clip into the rope, and then make a little knot around your carabiner that provides friction, and then you jump out and you slide down the rope. In the case of fast roping, they just have a rope that's about 40 millimeters, so it's this big, and it's like the ones you take at the gym, the battle ropes you get at the gym, and they unfurl that thing from inside the helicopter out on an arm that sticks out from the door, and you jump out with gloves on and grab that rope and then slide down the rope down to the deck. Then you don't have to unclip from your harness and all that kind of stuff. You don't even wear a harness. It's much faster. You get a lot more people on the ground very quick. I've done that many, many, many times. We used to do that all the time when I was in the Rangers. And it is a much faster way to get people on the ground. Then once the helicopter is done offloading its personnel, we pull a lever which releases that rope and drops it down to the ground, and then the helicopter can take off and leave. So they don't recover the rope, is what I'm saying. This is just some background information so you understand what you're looking at when you see stuff like this. As a matter of fact, I have some video of somebody that is fast roping in the daytime. Let's see if I can show you that. Now this is going on social media and is being posted as if this is video of the Marines taking over the two staff, but or MV two staff, however you say that. But this is not the case because we just saw the video that was released by CENTCOM and then taking it over, and it was at night. This one is in the daytime. This is likely one that's done for training. One way you can tell that is because the guys going down the rope are going down very slowly. But what I find interesting about this, it just tells you something about the state of news on social media these days, is that somebody added the sound of gunfire, like machine gun fire, to the video to make it sound like it's gun combat, but it's not. So just watch this. So there is no, that's not happening. The gunfire's not happening. These guys are going down the rope there. You see the helicopter. This is a dangerous maneuver for sure if you're not hooked into that rope. And I've known people to fall off the rope before. Okay, so you see what that looks like. But those guys are actually going down the rope fairly slowly. So either they're doing it in training or they're just not very well experienced with that stuff. So that was kind of a rabbit trail I went down there, but I just wanted to explain some of that to you. Because part of what I try to do for you is provide you a look into the very arcane nature of the military and of war so that you can have a better understanding when you see things going on. The CENTCOM also put out this video of a Marine helicopter with a guy on a 50 caliber machine gun that was flying up and down and warning ships to turn back. Now, he doesn't actually fire this weapon, but I think it's 115. You're in my area of military blockade. Blockade is right before it is important as part of all vessels regardless of flag. All vessels are further intent to enter or exit around the port and subject to the right to visit and search in accordance with international law. If you attempt to run the blockade, you will control compliance with port. Now, one thing that you might not have noticed, I'm going to back this up just a little bit. Watch down at the bottom right-hand corner of your screen, and you'll see a couple of, it looks like missiles firing from the helicopter. And I'll explain what they are. There goes one. Right down at the very bottom of the screen. Those are not missiles. Those are chaff. They are there to confuse enemy radars or any enemy that's trying to attack the helicopter with a surface-to-air missile or a man-portable anti-aircraft device. And those things are set to fire automatically if there's a receiver on the top of the helicopter that can see those kinds of, if they're being lased or if they're being targeted, it can see that and then it automatically fires that chaff. So looking at that, you might say, wait a minute, who is targeting that helicopter and causing it to have to fire off chaff? The answer is nobody. Because what you notice looking at this video is that the gunner here is staring right into the sun. And so the reflection off the water can often cause a false reading on the receiver on the helicopter and cause it to fire off chaff because it believes that that super bright flaming ball up in the sky is an incoming missile. And now, it doesn't usually do that when you're just flying over land because you don't get the reflection bouncing off the land and coming up from below. But when it sees that bright orb reflected from below, it thinks it might be a missile, and so it fires off chaff. Okay? So that's what I just, again, there are people on social media that are saying, look, they're missiles or, whatever. No, they weren't firing missiles, and they weren't being targeted by that commercial ship. They were just flying into the sun like that. Okay, now, because the United States took over that MV Toska, whatever they call it, that was done by the USS Spruance, which is a guided missile destroyer in the U.S. fleet. And once they disabled the engines, then they boarded it and seized it, and then we still have it. We're going to search it, figure out what's on it, and then decide what we want to do with that ship. But it's one of those ghost fleet ships anyway, so that means that it really doesn't have a legitimate flag, from what I understand, and we could just keep it. We could sell it for scrap if we wanted to. The U.S. Navy also forced at least 3 other Iranian linked ships came back, but a couple of ships tried to run the blockade and actually got through. So Fox News was reporting that some of the ships that were coming from inside the Strait of Hormuz going out, this one, the Toska, was actually outside the strait going in. But the ones that were going out, 2 of them actually made it through the blockade, which is understandable, I guess, because we don't have ships shoulder to shoulder across that. Let me show you where that blockade is actually taking place so you can understand what I'm talking about. So go over to the marine traffic map. This is the current map right now. The blockade is going from basically right down here on this point in Oman across to the border of Pakistan. So we're not blockading the Strait of Hormuz so much as we are the Gulf of Oman. This is a much larger area to blockade. Now, again, on social media, you have pundits who don't know what they're talking about that say that the reason that we have the blockade clear out here is because the United States ships are afraid to go any closer because they will get sunk if they go through the Strait of Hormuz. That's obviously not true because after the ceasefire took place, when Iran said the Strait of Hormuz was closed, the U.S. sent 2 destroyers through the Strait of Hormuz on a mine-clearing operation, and they went all the way through, turned around, and came all the way back through, and they weren't struck by Iran. Iran apparently fired a drone at them and tried to strike them, but they shot it down. So we're not afraid to put our ships into the Strait of Hormuz. That's not the reason why the blockade is clear out here. The reason it's out here is because of this port right here in Chabahar. This is Iran's only port that is outside the Strait of Hormuz.